Okay, we're going to go over the basic secret of Pilates. And the secret of Pilates is finding your transverse abdominis.
Yes.
We call it the TA, or some people refer to it as the TVA, transverse abdominis. And it's the deepest abdominal muscle. It runs all the way around the front and wraps into the back, and it actually goes sideways. So I always visualize it like the kind of back support things that people wear at the Home Depot or whatever. They're kind of supporting their belly all the way around. But the way that the transverse contracts is because it creates a pressure system. It's a compression muscle. And the pressure system of the diaphragm, which is right up here, right under your ribs, and the pelvic floor, which goes between your pubic bone and tailbone, the diaphragm presses down, the pelvic floor pulls up. It's kind of like an accordion. They go inward and the air kind of forces out, but the TA pulls down, and that's what gives it that contraction. And so many of these exercises, you're not going to be able to do it if you don't learn how to get that TA to engage. And this is kind of what separates the people who understand Pilates. When you get off the reformer and you haven't really been using your abs the way you think you have, when you get down to the mat work, it's super hard. And you're like, oh gosh, what happened here? So let's learn it from the very beginning. So you've got your hands in a great place. Let's actually separate them up just a little bit. And let's practice that breathing. So your ribs are going to expand from the right to the left. Good. We have these intercostal muscles there that help expand. And now you're going to take a deep breath. And when you do, you're going to force air out through your pursed lips. Very good. Now we have these little accessory muscles in breathing that are up here in our shoulders. And sometimes we get a little stressed and we pull that up there. So one of the greatest practices is just keep trying to do this breathing and tell yourself to just relax your shoulders and your neck. So big deep inhale, yeah, and she's exhaling, good. And you can see how her ribs knit in and down when she exhales. See how they close up? And then they open up to the right and left. So we teach this lateral breathing. It's to the sides and actually to the back too. And then she's knitting in and down. So that's the diaphragm. That pursed lip breathing helps contract the diaphragm. Let's talk about the other side, the pelvic floor. So this one is a little bit more difficult for some people to locate, especially if they haven't used it for a long time. It can get a little bit crampy. Most people are familiar with a Kegel, and a Kegel is like a max contraction of the pelvic floor. So we want to do like a baby contraction of the pelvic floor. So kind of think about just gently lifting that pelvic floor up next time you make that pursed lip sound. So some people talk about it like lifting a piece of Kleenex up off the floor, like a little upward motion there. Okay. Yeah. Another visual for it, we have all kinds of metaphors for trying to engage the pelvic floor. It's like a little elevator coming up, but instead of the 10th floor on a Kegel, it's like the 2nd floor. And then also another visual is thinking about bringing the bones together. So your pubic bone and your tailbone are coming together. And if all else fails, we just tell them to imagine you're trying to stop peeing in the middle. So those two pieces are really important, the diaphragm pressing down and the pelvic floor lifting up. And then we get that gentle drawing down of the belly bone, or the belly button to the backbone. And that's what engages that TA. The belly button draws down at the same time you exhale. Good, and you can feel these muscles right there just getting really flat, yeah. And if you take your fingertips just right in front, inside your hip bones and push down on that, do that on your next exhale and tell me what you feel.
I got tight.
Isn't that really awesome? It's like a sheet being pulled tight. That's your TA, and it actually goes all the way down there. So super cool. It really pulls down. Now some people, they try to do this too hard, and what happens is they actually have the opposite. Their belly kind of pooches out and it comes upward there. So try that. Just do it really hard and see what happens. Yeah. So she's actually doing it pretty good, but there you go. How the belly kind of pooches out, yeah. And show us one more time how to get a really good wrapping. Nice. And how's that feel?
Feels great.
Doesn't it feel like you're like tiny waisted?
Yes, I feel like I'm gonna have rock hard abs after breathing.
Yeah, everything just all comes right in. Awesome.